Good afternoon, everybody. I hope I'm clear. Professor, Head of Department, and my friend Dr. Chaturalianage, other distinguished members of the faculty, lecturers, my dear students. Actually, when Chatura called me after probably several years, a couple of weeks ago, and asked me to do this, I was a little apprehensive at first, for the simple reason that when what he told me, I realized that you required a very multidisciplinary knowledge to review a document of this nature. That was, I said that without even looking at the document. But when he started sending me the different chapters or the different articles and the interviews, I realized that I was wondering whether I was trying to tackle something that was too much for me. Nevertheless, since I had promised him, I thought I'll give it my best shot. So here I am today. I'm using the word trying to review the document, because the more I read this document, I think it's a document that is worthy of the efforts that all the authors have put in. So before I start, what I want to tell all the students who have had the opportunity of looking at this document is, this is a very valuable publication. The knowledge and insight of several professionals have gone into this. And when you read it, you will realize that they have not just copy-pasted something from somewhere and submitted it to the university. They have taken a lot of time to share their interviews and write whatever they have written. So I like to begin by telling all the students, please make use of it. A document of this nature is useless when it's lying on the table. It must be read, absorbed, and practiced in your own professional life. Somebody said that knowledge is the only commodity that does not diminish the exporter. I'll repeat it again. It says that knowledge is the only commodity that does not diminish the exporter. So, in other words, when you share knowledge, you don't reduce in any way. On the other hand, sharing of knowledge or sharing of anything is a very, very worthy contribution that one could make to one another. So whilst all these professionals have shared their knowledge, please remember, they have shared this knowledge for you, for the students. So you need to make use of this, and you need to absorb it, and you need to in turn export the knowledge that you gain from that to others. And that is the challenge that is there to every one of you. Another thing I want to say before I start going into the document itself is that, when you read a document of this nature, you must be there with an open mind. You can't have fixed ideas. For instance, what has been written even challenged me, because I am used to a certain way of doing things, or my long years of corporate life. But the authors also have their point of view, and so you need to be open to observe what they are saying. Another thing I want to tell all the students who will hopefully make use of this publication is that, please remember, today the only thing that is certain in this world is change. We are in the world of uncertainty. Everything is changing every day. For instance, take the simplest and most common topic, which is pandemic. The pandemic is changing every day. Yesterday you will hear there is no variant, tomorrow you hear another variant. So if these kinds of things are going to put you down, your future is not going to be as interesting or exciting as opposed to looking at something with an open mind. So even in this document, you will see that there is a myriad of changes that these authors are sharing. And you need to be open not only to the changes that they have mentioned in their own articles, but things could change even whilst you read. So you need to take that also into consideration when you are reading this document. So as I said, this magazine covers a multitude of subjects, starting from banking. Then there is a lot on finance, microfinance, about the economy at large. Then such very current topics as sustainability reporting. In fact, yesterday I was at the CRM Sustainability Reporting Awards, because where all the top corporates took part. So these are the types of topics which are covered in one document. So it's like a one-stop shop. So I'm reiterating again the value of this publication of yours. I'll now delve into the articles itself. I would start from the first article, which is basically a document. I would call it an home and home document. It's titled "Self-Purification is by Insight," and this is all about your prestigious university. Having read this very insightful introduction about this university, I thought I would call this the cradle of learning, because I can see this university that has evolved over the years. The time I was going to school, I know this university was known by a different name, but today it is one of the topmost universities in Sri Lanka, and known, if I'm not mistaken, at one time for the languages, and today for so many other disciplines. And I can see in this article, it says self-purification is by insight, the university is giving a lot of preference to environmental sustainability and promoting another very important thing for all you ladies, gender equality. Today, the world is moving towards equality. Every one of us are equal. We are equal in status, we are equal in terms of incomes, and we are equal in terms of gender. So from what I gather from this article titled "Self-Purification is by Insight," it gives a lot of emphasis to research, which this university is focusing on. I was also very pleasantly surprised that there is an ethics review committee of the University of Kelaniya established in 2016 to provide ethical guidance to enthusiastic researchers. Research is not a subject that many people focus on. Why? Because it's time consuming. It's not, I would pardon my language, but something sexy where you will, unlike finance or IT development or something like that. Research, you need a research mindset. You need a research focus, and research is something that takes time. You can't do research tomorrow. And I was really pleasantly surprised to see that your university has set up a ethics review committee, because research is all about ethics. And you have to practice ethics today. Today, this whole world is talking of ethics. Sri Lanka own, we can learn a lot about ethical conduct, ethical behavior. And it is really nice. I'm not saying it to flatter those of you. It's nice to know that these kinds of things are there in this university. And persistent learning requires this kind of a research foundation in a university, so that those of you who are inclined to do research, like, not only PhD research, but research into sort of mundane areas. Today, people are researching into, biodiversity. People are researching into animals that are going, moving away from the face of the earth. For instance, in our own business at Kandalama Hotel, we are trying to trap, using night cameras to trap or to get photographs of certain nocturnal creatures that appear sometimes once in 6 months. So that's research. And, people from this university could partake in that kind of programs. So what I'm trying to say is, research, imagine you're staying 6 months to see some species of animal which is fading away. So I won't delve too much upon that, and this title of this article is Self-Purification is by Insight. So we are purifying ourselves by knowledge, by insight. And that this university gives sort of priority to research. You also say that the learning process at this university utilizes a strategy that integrates knowledge, wisdom, and solutions with collaboration. That's another very important thing I want to point out. In learning, you need collaboration. In the corporate world, you need collaboration. So we collaborate with partners. Today, we are talking of sustainability. We are talking about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. One goal is partnerships, collaboration. So even in your research, it's important that there is collaboration, and this is another thing that the university is encouraging in terms of as value to students. That's why I'm emphasizing it, because most instances students don't make use of the facilities that are there in the university. My next topic is a year of reality. The title says Economic Trends in 2022. And the title of the article, in bold letters says, So Will the World Economy Return to Normal in 2022? I won't ask you to respond to it, all of you. I'm sure all of you have your own views. My view is a little different. My view is that whether the world returns to pre-COVID or whatever, we as professionals must be ready to meet the challenges. We must be ready to meet the challenges the way it comes. If I may, I played cricket during my school days. Those of you who know the cricketing game, I would say you must be able to play the ball the way it comes. You can't tell the ball, you come this way and then I'll bat this way. Or you come that way, I will do it this way. It's the same way. The economy is there for us. And we must be able to adjust our sails depending on the wind. If you are in a boat, you have turbulent weather. You can't tell the weather, now please you stop. So for me to answer that question, honestly, I can't say whether the world will be returned to normal this year or next year. But what I can say is, whatever the world will turn to, I am ready for it. At least personally, I can tell you. And I am telling all of you, you all are all smart, qualified, intelligent students. And you must be ready for it. Whatever economists say, whatever the central bank says, look at the amount of opportunities that COVID created. COVID created an online platform unprecedented. Today, delivering stuff, even the family man was delivering stuff online. So those are the opportunities that COVID created. So in this year of what I would call new reality, there could be. There could be problems. I'm not saying there may not be problems. A world, if the world is without problems, you and I are not needed. We are professionals, and we have been taught, whether it be finance or HR or marketing or IT or medicine, to meet challenges. So, going back to this, I know everybody is saying that it will be a bumpy ride, and this article also, it says it will be a bumpy ride over the next few years. Growth rates are going to be low. There could be high unemployment, high inflation. But what I want to tell all of you is, you're studying finance, you're studying accounting, you're studying economics, to use the tools of what you study to meet some of these challenges. Otherwise, why are you studying? Why are you studying economics? Why are you studying finance? Why are you doing financial modeling? So, I'm not trying to, put you down, but what I'm trying to tell you, one message I'm trying to tell you is that, pandemics will come, pandemics will go. But we as professionals must meet those challenges. It's, again, I go to the cricketing example. Every time you can't have a good batting wicket that suits you. The bowling side also must have a chance. So it's the same way here. So there could be unemployment. So we have to be careful. And so there are, as you know, during the lockdown, it was the daily income earners that lost out on jobs. So that's very unfortunate to them. I'm not saying good luck to them, but then they also must be able to see how they could assist. And you also, in your own time, you all also must see how can we assist these people. The other thing I wanted to tell you, which I was really very happy when I read this, the economic paradigm of well-being and happiness. Today, we all talk of money. We all talk of money bringing happiness. We talk of wealth bringing happiness. We all talk of health bringing happiness. But well-being and happiness are both sides of the same coin. And how do you create well-being and happiness in your organization, in your corporate life, is what this article talks of. Here, it talks of 3 countries where the World Happiness Index is very high. It talks of Finland, Denmark, Switzerland. I don't know where Sri Lanka is placed, Norway. But these are things that you all need to learn. Today we are talking of sustainability. I'll speak a little more about that. Sustainability is all about, making others happy, making the world a better place for others, not only for you or for me. So, well-being and happiness, according to this article, is the new economic paradigm. And all of you and all of us, this goes for me too, our job is to see whether we can create that well-being and happiness to the community at large, wherever we have been placed. Actually, when you this speaks of 3 countries: Denmark, Switzerland, and then Norway. I haven't been to Denmark and Sweden, but I have been to Switzerland, and what that government does. It's a small country, small population, unpolluted, but what that government does for the people of that country is fascinating. So that's what they mean by happiness and well-being. So, I'm sure we can all strive to that. And I'm happy that, your magazine talks of creating that culture. That's what the magazine talks of, the culture that makes the difference. It doesn't say the culture that makes the difference is high incomes or high salaries or good qualification. It says the culture that makes the difference is the well-being and happiness which defines a new economic paradigm. So, my dear students, please read this article, ingrain it into your blood, because I think that's something for the next 20, 30 years for your life, to see how you can bring in well-being and happiness into your own life and to the life of your colleagues. Sorry, I'm rushing a little through because probably run out of time otherwise. The next article is banking goes beyond cash with digital engagement. Here again, banking through the years, there was no digital. I don't know, those of you, all of you are young people, unlike me, your school days, your parents would have always gone to the bank to do their transaction. They will go to the bank and very often stand before the bank managers. Those days if you go to for a loan, it's like you are doing a wrong thing, because very few people borrowed money. But today you can take a loan using technology. So here, what this whole article is about is banking goes beyond cash with digital engagement. Now here we talk of the licensed commercial banks and how much they have embraced digitization. Today, you don't have to go to the bank. You can deposit money, you can withdraw money, you can transfer money, you can check your bank balance, all through digital technology. At the same time, digital technology can also cause problems. All of you who know about IT, you know that sometimes because of these cyber crimes, there could be problems. So banks also need to be mindful. So those of you who are looking at this area of banking, please remember that banking is not the way it was done so many years ago. But today banking is about being more efficient. And another thing I want to say is here, please look at this from the point of view of the customer. Those of you who are interested in banking as a career, you might want to study banking. Then when you study banking, you will realize that digitization has, pervaded into banking. But you also must look at it from the point of view of how is the customer serviced. You will answer that question if any of you call a bank and get into that, they'll say, English bhasawata eka, Sinhala bhasawata deka, Demala bhasawata tunai, and just see how long you have to wait. You call some of the foreign banks, it's worse. You call a foreign overseas bank, it's even worse. And here you are paying call charges. So digitization is good, but please remember that there is a customer. There is a customer for whom this digitization is being done. But if that customer is not getting the service he should be getting, the digitization must be re-evaluated. I don't want to be quoted, but from a bank's point of view, digitization is for them cost effective. Because what digitization will do, they can, save 10 people. Of course, faster transactions. But at the same time, it should not be at the expense of their customer base or the customer satisfaction. So that's something that I want to say to those of you who are interested in banking, and those of you who are interested in looking at the the digitization angle of banking. The banking model is today changing. It has changed, I would say. Changed a lot. Changing by the day. Today, look at the number of ATMs. In future, there may not be ATM, because having an ATM is also costly. So they will devise other means of finding money. Today, look at what the mobile companies are doing. They are also transacting. Financial transactions. So the whole landscape is changing, and you must be alive to that change. And another point I want to make here again, which I told you earlier, the COVID has also changed that. The COVID has, whilst COVID, people sadly died, sort of people went into hospital, they have cost, but it also created new avenues for business. And it is still creating new avenues for business. The next article I will review is, am I going okay? I know it's a lot for you all to absorb. It's a lot for me to absorb too. The next article is about digital transformation in the insurance industry and prospects. You know, one of the areas, one of the business areas or disciplines that has completely changed in the last 25, 30 years as a result of digitization is insurance. You know, those days, if you met with an accident, you have to wait till the police guy comes, then they'll mark the, they'll take a gadol kella karagana para mark karla, they will then wait and, that fellow will do a small thing. Today is not like that. It started long ago. You know, Selinko started with I think VIP insurance or something, where tax gala, they take a photograph, they send it to their company, assess the damage, and within a few minutes, they'll say, I can pay you, or they'll say, your damage is 50,000, I'll pay you 25,000, or that kind of approach. So that has completely changed. You know, I can remember many, many years ago, I was going for some sort of a BPO conference in London, and I was going with an Indian guy who was, very tech savvy, and he was telling me something like this, which they were doing in the US, and I was with my mouth open because we had never heard of something like this. He said, this is what we could do, and not 1 or 2 years later, we saw it in our own country. So insurance really has got transformed by digitization, and to me, the insurance industry is one area for students that have a lot of opportunities. Unfortunately, it's not a, what shall I say, an industry that is very attractive to young people. I honestly don't know the reason. And in countries like Sri Lanka, even you and me, we don't like to take insurance. Life insurance policies are, we run away from it. We will take a medical insurance policy because we are scared whether we'll fall ill today or tomorrow. But we don't want to take a life insurance policy because we think we are not going to die. So, as a result, not because of that, but generally you find very few people going into the insurance business as a career. Insurance, your ultimate is to be a chartered insurer. There are, for instance, my own company, we are the agents for Lloyd's Insurance of London. That's the foremost insurance company. We have had that agency for over 100 years. And one of my colleagues is a chartered insurer, They can go and evaluate any claim, like not accident claims, but salvage, ship repairs, things like that. So, but there are a lot of avenues for advancement in that area. I think you need a finance background and a legal background for the insurance industry, and I would always recommend it to students because these are areas or businesses, fields that you will have less competition. So please, something that you should look at is the insurance industry. And in Sri Lanka, one of the problems is that insurance is a industry or a business that people don't know too much about. And the industry is such that mostly there are freelancers and agents. There are very, very few students taking insurance as a career. Now, many of these companies, I can tell you, AIA, I don't know whether you all also must be getting these people, they are calling and want to sell you an insurance policy or a life plan policy or something for your children. Now, most of them are, they have been trained, of course, but they are not doing a regular job to the best of my knowledge. The company is not employing them. It suits the company to do that as well. Because, when people are on your payroll, it's a cost. It's a long-term commitment. So this business has grown in that fashion. Even in those days, many years ago, I used to be involved in the Lions Club. And in the Lions Club, I'm talking many, many years ago, there used to be a guy, his whole job of coming for the Lions Club meeting was because he was an insurance agent. And the only thing he wanted to do was sell an insurance policy. That was his whole aim. So I'm just telling you this purely because some of you must be considering insurance as a career. I think it's a very good thing, and you can see how digital technology has taken over insurance. Take company like Selinko Insurance, Union Assurance. I mean, there are companies that are doing so well. So that's what I wanted to say about the insurance business. You know, associated with insurance is also reinsurance. You know, insurance companies go and reinsure their insurance with somebody else, particularly overseas. A company called Swiss Re is one of the biggest in the world. However, one of the things I want to say in the insurance business is that it's a lean business, meaning you don't get large numbers operating there. So these are businesses which go with the times, and one of the key characteristics of the insurance business is service. Service. Today, you know, you speak to people. If you have an insurance policy, a medical insurance policy, and you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, and you want to pay your medical bill through insurance, you will have to wait a few hours till the insurance agent comes. Now, that's not service. You know, in every business, even in banking, which we spoke earlier, the customer is important, and therefore the companies, if you are in banking as a career, or if you are in insurance as a career, the customer element is important. It's not only the technology of the insurance business or the banking business. That is also important, but you have to remember that these are all what we call service business. Banking is services, insurance is services. So you have to ensure that your product is sustainably sold. You know, that people don't badmouth you. So if you are in an industry, either in banking or in insurance, and you find that the service providers are not satisfying the customer, they are not going to buy your product. Having said that, there are so many companies. Many of these companies are so customer savvy. Take insurance, even insurance corporation, because it's a very, very competitive field. So that's my one advice to all of you. If you are focusing on insurance as a career, the next area is, the title is Corporate World Embraces Sustainability Reporting. This is an area which is, you know, very close to my heart, the field of sustainability, because I am quite involved in sustainability at Atkinson. You know, today there is no conference that is complete if there is no discussion on sustainability. So for those of you students who are interested in sustainability, even though you may be pursuing finance as a career, my advice is please look at that. Financial sustainability, which we'll discuss later, is another important area. So sustainability is ensuring that you run your business, you know, in a way that you don't upset anybody else. We call it the triple bottom line. You run your business to ensure that you make profit, you don't harm the planet, and you don't harm the people. That is, in a nutshell, sustainability. Today we also talk of processes, having the right processes. So the corporate world embraces sustainability reporting is, we call it the global reporting initiatives. And today, you know, about 25 years ago, in annual reports, people say all kinds of things. They say we did this in the environment, we gave this to charity, we trained and did this, you know, trained 2,000 of our people, and did all kinds of things. Then gradually people, investors, stakeholders realize that people are not telling the truth. They are just saying things for the sake of saying and making a flowery annual report. Then gradually the United Nations Global Compact and similar organizations brought what they call the global reporting initiatives, or the sustainable reporting practice, where you walk the talk. What you do, you write and you get it verified. So there are companies that come and verify your reporting, your annual report. In fact, yesterday, the CMA Awards was one such event where international people, they would review your annual report to see whether you are actually telling the truth, or are you sort of speaking some nonsense to people just to get your share price up or get good people to join your company? So it's a voluntary practice. Nobody forces you to adopt global reporting initiative, but my advice to all corporates is, if you are a serious player in the corporate world, if you want to show and be transparent of what you are doing, report it. Get it verified. It's like the normal audit report. Those of you, all of you know about finance. Whether you are publicly listed or not, at the end of the year, auditors come and verify your audit report. But that is only your financer. They look to see whether your vouchers are made properly and this, that, and the other. But this is completely different. They look at your environmental reporting. They'll look at your entire social value creation. They'll look at your complete governance area. Have you done any unwanted things? Have you given bribes? Have you competed unfairly? If so, you have to disclose it. If you have something to say, basically what global reporting initiative is, being upfront, walking the talk, and maintaining basically good governance practices. So it's again I would say a very important area, a good career for people to look at. And as I told you, you might ask, why do we want to do this? You want to do this if you are a serious player in the corporate world. If you want people to join your company. Another one thing, before I get on to the next area, today I always find, young people, we are interviewing them, particularly graduates, both from overseas and Sri Lanka, they want to know how sustainable we are. Do we have a code of ethics? Do we have a code of conduct, like the code of ethics a university has? They want to know, whether there is gender equality. They want to know whether we have what we call a whistleblowing policy, that we know whether, there's harassment of ladies. How does one report? So all these are embodied in your global reporting initiatives. And that's what makes a company, average and exceptional. So to all of you, I would really advise you to go into this area. The next area is the micro enterprises through microfinance. Again, microfinance in a country like ours is an integral part of the economy. I won't go into the numbers. The numbers are all in this very wonderfully prepared article. There are big companies today. One of the big players in the microfinance is LOLC. Then you have heard of the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. Microfinance provides a good foundation and a safety net for the lower stratas of the economy. And another thing, you might be surprised, now in banks we have this thing called non-performing loans, where big people take money and they don't pay back. But I have heard this from reliable authorities, that the degree of non-performing loans in this poorer strata is minimal. Because for them, it's a shame if they default on a loan. Of course, there are the exceptions of, various naughty fellows. But in general, their ethics, they are responsible. They are so responsible that they don't want to default. So as a result, there are many people who are operating in this area. But remember, operating in microfinance is not entirely to make money. That's what any of you who want to set up a SME or a microfinance business, you must remember, it's more a social obligation. It's more about being a good provider to society. You can do your own microfinance in your organization to the lower levels of the company. But these are all good areas for you to study. And I would imagine that, again, I'm talking of your magazine, you all have covered very comprehensively areas which normally people won't cover. And, as a university, this is an area that you could provide insight to people at that level. How to be good, responsible stewards in, taking loans and stuff like that. And and of course, microfinance is not an unknown area in Sri Lanka. There are so many microfinance businesses in Sri Lanka, which again given here. The SDB Bank, then Sarvodaya is very well known, and I don't know whether if you wants to follow these areas, but they are more in the social strata and more areas that people who want to be do good. It's a good area to be involved with, whilst also being involved with, doing your normal corporate responsibilities. Sorry, the next article is how does the role of an entrepreneur affect the economic growth of Sri Lanka? Now, who is an entrepreneur? Basically, to me, an entrepreneur is a person who likes to take risks. An entrepreneur is, sometimes you think of an entrepreneur as a guy who is not qualified. Not necessarily so. For instance, to me, even the guy who is selling Tambili on the road is an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur because he knows where to go and sell. He will bring the Tambili from various places. He'll be at the bus stand because he knows that's where the clients. That's a very basic level of an entrepreneur. But there are so many entrepreneurs, they have no formal qualification, no formal education. They have gut feeling. And they are risks. Basically, I would not call myself an entrepreneur. I don't know, some of you maybe. There are some of you who pass out from universities and your parents want you to go and be a good corporate leader, but you don't want to do that. You set up your own business and you have been very successful. Today there are companies like Angel Investment who give seed capital to entrepreneurs, to people who are willing to take a risk, who are willing to make a difference. Look, PickMe is a good example of an entrepreneur. Uber, Airbnb, they don't own even one hotel, right? But they own the most number of rooms. Take PickMe here. PickMe company doesn't have even one vehicle to call their own, but they are the largest fleet of vehicles. So those are entrepreneurs. They have the vision, they have insight, and they have the will to take a risk, calculated risk. To me, all of you who are passing out can be an entrepreneur. But provided, another thing I want to tell you through my own experience, people like me can't be entrepreneurs. Why? If somebody comes and tells me, here is a good business idea, what do we do? I will put the IRR and the ROI and I'll do a market survey and do all that. And, by that time, the opportunity has gone. I will tell you a good example of, one of the top entrepreneurs in this country whom I work with. Some time ago, he was interested in a huge investment and he gave it to me, the opportunity, and told me, run through this and tell me what we should do. I looked at it, and next day I came and told him, I said, sir, this company has a lot of debt. Cash flow is, they are struggling in cash flow and blah, blah, blah. I can't remember exactly what I told him. So he looked at me and he told me, Rohan, if I listened to fellows like you, I would have been in where I was 25 years ago, he said. So, and this person is one of Sri Lanka's top entrepreneurs. So they have gut feeling. Which you and I don't have. And I have found many entrepreneurs, they don't have the qualification, so they won't put it into a straight jacket. Now, if I ask you, Chatura, or your head of department, you have 10 million bucks, what do we do with it? You will use your discipline and then see, weigh the pros and cons. It's like a person who goes to the casino. I'm not saying you have to go to the casino to be an entrepreneur, but I'm just giving you the pros and cons. Honestly, I can't give you an answer. But if there are no entrepreneurs in this country or this world will be a poorer place. You can't expect everybody to go and do jobs like you and me. There has to be entrepreneurs in a country, and entrepreneurs only add value to society because they make that difference. They are the ones who take the risks, and they are the ones who set an example or set the pace. Today, so many examples. Mr. Fernando, the only man who has brought an international brand to this country is an entrepreneur. Take Mr. Dhammika Pereira. He is an entrepreneur. My own chairman, Mr. Harry Jayawardene, is an entrepreneur. So many people like that. They started with nothing, but see where they are. So they are willing to take risks. They take calculated risks. They have lost, they have won, but they have that foresight. I can't tell you exactly how you get those qualities. But all I'm trying to tell you is that there is an opportunity for all of you graduates to be entrepreneurs. And if, for instance, all of you go and try to be monthly wage earners, it will be a sad day. That much I can tell you. Because I think all of you must use your skill to build that entrepreneurial capacity in countries like Sri Lanka. So, yeah, the one closing remark on entrepreneurs is, one of the sad things I find, again, I don't want to be quoted, but I mean, this is reality. Most banks don't support entrepreneurs. You go, say, somebody just out of the university, he goes and tells the bank, I want to start a business, this is the type of business, I need a loan of 10 million. They'll ask you to give your house as collateral, or they'll ask you to give your vehicle as collateral. So when people tell me that, I said, why the hell I'm coming to you, man? I will sell my car and do the business now. But I mean, they look at companies like us differently. I know, when some of our companies are not doing so well. So when we go with a company like that, they speak differently. When I go with the Atkins Spence group, they are waiting for us to come. So so that is, there has to be the banking industry must also, the financial industry must also support entrepreneurs in any country. And I think I'm fairly right if I say that, in the West, and even in countries like India, China for that matter, they have a more entrepreneurial supporting culture as opposed to Sri Lanka. The next article is shedding spotlight on the thriving insurance industry. The insurance industry is thriving. And particularly the life insurance segment. So, you can see the dividends that insurance companies are paying today. Take Selinco Insurance, take Union Assurance, take the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation. So that shows how much the insurance industry is doing well. And sometimes sad to say, things, periods like when there are disasters, insurance companies benefit a lot. That's a sad thing to say, but that's, insurance is about you're going and, you're going and align yourself for covering a risk. So from a person who is interested in the insurance industry, that way there is opportunity. For instance, during the tsunami, most people didn't take insurance cover, but after the tsunami, people took insurance cover. Then even after the terrorism, there was no terrorism cover, but today everybody still has terrorism cover. So I'm just showing you how these industries have evolved. Today everybody is taking cover on loss of employment after the COVID, loss of income during the COVID. So these are all ways where the industry is evolving. So that's why I said in my opening remarks to the young graduates, be with an open mind. How the industry is today may not be the way the industry is tomorrow. So again, I'm going back to the insurance industry. This gentleman who has written the article is a veteran in this industry. So please study his paper, and I would concur with his view that the insurance industry is today thriving. There again, before I finish on this area, the customer is important. Insurance companies must service the customer. Insurance companies must not only sell a policy, whatever it be, whether it be medical, motor, life, or anything else. Then the next article is about Insight to the Way Forward of the Financial Sector in Sri Lanka by Mr. Rohan Fernando. Again, another veteran in the industry. The first question you all have put is, the finance sector is a fast-paced and dynamic industry. How do you perceive the financial industry in Sri Lanka? And what, in your opinion, are the main threats that this country faces, that the industry faces? So today, I mean, I don't have to tell you, it's all there out in the newspapers. You know, some of the threats that businesses face are, you know, ad hoc taxation, inflation. Today we are going through a foreign exchange crisis. Then banks are challenged by non-performing loans. And, you know, interest rates are rising. You know, if I would have gone 2 years back, you know, the interest rates for people like pensioners were very low. Pensioners were crying. On the other hand, inflation was low. It's a chicken and egg situation. Today, interest rates are rising, inflation is rising, but, you know, the economy is in a very, very topsy-turvy state. When that happens, what happens? That people don't want to invest. People are reluctant to invest, particularly long-term investment. Foreigners don't want to come until they see some stability, you know, like this Fitch rating and stuff like that. Those all are negatives to investors. So in the financial sector, the financial sector must send the right signals out to people in the sector. And that's what, you know, banks, insurance is part of the financial sector, should do. And of course, the government. It's the government's responsibility to create a level playing field, consistent policy. I always tell people of consistent policies. You can't have a policy today and change it tomorrow and do something else day after. Because particularly investors, you know, very often we deal with, you know, several foreign investors. They question us, whatever the sector is. And financial is most important. So again, to the students, when you all are reading these things, please remember, you must also look at policy consistency, whether it be in the insurance industry, whether it's in the financial industry, whether it's in the banking industry or IT or wherever. Because it's policy, it's like, you know, university. For one semester, if you have one rule, and next semester you change the other rule, what will students think? They don't know what the hell is happening the following semester. So it's the same, and it happens, I can tell you. BOI has changed their regulations so many times. One they say they tax holiday, out of 5 years they remove the tax holiday. Okay, I'm running short of time. Then the glimpse of the post-pandemic breakthrough in the banking industry. I think I spoke about this. Basically, what I told you that, you know, the pandemic has created a lot of opportunities for the banking industry. Not only the banking industry, I told you, you know, so many areas, you know, today related, you know, this, you would have heard of this company, Lassana Flora. Today they are more known as a logistics company. You know, they are very good at delivering your groceries. Then there's another company called Provido. Same. So, what I'm trying to tell you is, these are all areas which, you know, the banking industry, the COVID has strengths. There are weaknesses, but there are opportunities, and there are threats as well. I don't know going forward how things are going to be. But what I can tell you is, that's where entrepreneurship comes in. That's where foresight, insight comes in. You know, one of the things you have to be careful about is the non-performing loans. Again, I'm speaking, you know, please talk to your customer, listen to them. Hear what they are saying. Because, you know, very often it's the customer who will give you a product opportunity. The customer will say, you know, if I had my product like this, I would have bought more. Or I have a market like this. So these are some areas that, you know, people should think of. And one bit of advice to those of you, I mean all of you in this finance area, the faculties, remember finance per se is it's important certainly, but there are other disciplines that also the graduates need to be aware of. the human resources development area, the customer responsiveness area, because they all, work in unison with one another. And a good professional will have a rounding in all those areas, not only one area, because otherwise they'll become just a, one-track person who will only look at finance, who will not have a view of the outer area. The next article, and the one before the last, is Appraising Sustainable Investments to Strive Towards a Resilient Future. I touched on sustainability. What sustainability is here? This lady is talking in an article about sustainable investments to strive towards a resilient future. What she really means is that today any investment must protect the planet or the environment or the earth. You can't make profit at the it's like today people are sand mining and making money, but it's harming the environment, it's harming people in the area. That's a very simple example I gave you. And today we are also talking of the United Nations 17 SDG goals. There are so many goals. I told you one is about partnerships, one is about conserving water, one is about providing good jobs. So when we talk of sustainable investments, your investment must cover these areas at least, and it's always good. Now in our case we align ourselves with few of these areas. For instance, our plantation company, we are aligning ourselves with conserving water. We do rainwater harvesting, we do irrigation. So then your investment, you're not making money at the expense of taking water from somewhere, or you're not exploiting your laborers and making money. You can do that also. You can pay people poorly. Of course, it's not sustainable, because after a little while they'll not come to work. So what you mean by sustainable investment is good environmentally conscious investment, maintaining good standards of social governance, and ensuring that corporate governance practices are maintained. Today many companies don't pay heed to governance principles. They are very good at talking, but they don't practice it. Many people sometimes don't pay minimum wages. Sometimes many people use harmful chemicals in the environment. They use injurious fertilizer purely to make a quick increase the crop. So what we mean by sustainable investment is when you make an investment to make sure that your investment doesn't harm somebody else. So from a financial point of view, this is another good area for young people to study, because I told you sustainability, corporate sustainability is a very important career. And there are today many people who are doing PhDs, who are doing masters in sustainability from all these top universities, and that's one area which I think would be a parallel to your finance. Because at the end of the day, financial investment must be sustainable. Then the final area is the roadmap to a robust investment decision-making culture. Again, a top professional from equity, Mr. Rohan Fernando, has done these articles, similar to all the others. He talks of the stock market. Today, one of the things I want to tell all of you is, today people are making money in the stock market. I don't know whether we exactly know how much money people are making. We don't know how much money people are losing. Now, what I want to tell all the students, particularly those who are interested in, going into the stock market, studying the stock market, is please study the fundamentals of a company. Please study the fundamentals of the company. Just don't see how much the share price has gone in the last couple of months, because if you are not careful, it will come down as fast as it come, and it has happened also. There are companies today that they are showing huge profits, but their receivables are 3 times more than the profit, if you look at it. I don't want to name them because unnecessary issues, but that's what I'm telling you. And these are some of the big, gainers in the stock market. To me, the Sri Lankan stock market is very topsy-turvy, because it's a small market. A market A stock market to develop must have outside funds. Here, what is circulating, whatever is here. So I'm not saying something wrong about it, but the moment, this country attracts foreign investment or foreign inflow of funds, that's the day the stock market will take off. And for people from overseas to come here, the stock market must send the right signals that it's a transparent stock market, that ethical practices are maintained, like you're having your ethical committee. So I know the Colombo Stock Exchange and the SEC is doing all what they could, but at the end of the day, it's the players in the stock market who have to be sorry. The other thing I want to tell you is, remember, whether it be stock market or any market, many people are after quick money. Today people are talking of cryptocurrency. Even the author is a little cautious in talking about it. I also don't want to talk too much about it. But please remember, anything that gives you quick money, there's a high risk and a high return. So you have to be careful. If you lose money, it's your own baby. You can't blame somebody else. But personally, I am a risk-averse investor. I always like to play it safe, particularly with hard-earned money. If you're having commission money or money from all undue sources, then you can afford to throw it away. But it's far better today. There are very straightforward places to invest. There are the A-rated finance companies. There are treasury bills. There are very, very reputed banks. But you can be sure that you will have your investment. I know people who have gone after large investments and they have lost the money, the capital, and also the return. So I think I would conclude on those lines. But again, as an investor, you must, I said it at the beginning, look at Bloomberg. Look at all the areas that the Wall Street Journal, read our own, our old Financial Times, gather your knowledge, and then see how much you can gather in all these areas. In conclusion, something that I like to keep with the graduates. This is nothing to do with your magazine. The magazine is excellent, and I was very happy to review it. But something I like to tell the students, because now some of them have passed out, some of them are going to pass out, but some things that have helped me in my own career, I call it 3 truths. There are several areas that have helped me, but I want to leave with you 3 things. One is, when you get into do your job, one of the important characteristics is, good interpersonal relations. You must be able to get on with others. You can pass out with honors. You can get the gold medal. But when you go for a job, if you can't get on with your colleagues, if you can't get on with your superiors, you will fall by the wayside very soon. And I can tell you, I know examples of so many people who have been like that. On the contrary, there are average, mediocre people who can get on with people. There are bosses like them. There are colleagues like them. There are customers like them. And they are the people who go a long way. Those of you who have played in teams, cricket, rugby, sports, will know what I am telling you. The captain can't win the game alone. He needs the players. So even in your business, even in your faculty, you must be able to get on with everybody. So one of the key things that I always inculcate to young people is maintain good interpersonal relations. Learn to get on with one another. And if you do that, that's a huge advantage to you. The second truth which I want to share with all of you is, commitment and professionalism. All of you someday will be called professionals. It's not for you to call yourself a professional. Others must say you are a professional. It's like Chaturo, I can't call myself a professional. People around him must say, he is a professional. This is the way he conducts himself. This is the kind of values he maintains. So You know, all of you, when you pass out, you are a professional. But what are the characteristics you practice? You know, how committed are you to your job? Today I find another very sad thing among young people. They pass out, have good degrees, they do their job, 6 months down the line, they can't get on with their boss, or their colleague has upset them, and they chuck up and they go for another job. There also same thing happens. Then they say, no, Sri Lanka is not good, I want to go abroad. And you can see them at the next embassy putting their papers out. You know, that's not commitment. That's not being a professional. A professional is, you know, you have to be there when the chips are down. That's why you have got a degree. Otherwise, you could have studied, you know, come off after your O-levels. And the final thing I want to tell you is, you know, all of you young graduates, whatever year you are, be humble. Be humble. Don't think of yourself too highly than the other person. Don't look down on people who don't have qualifications. You know, today, some of the best known successful people in Sri Lanka don't have qualifications. And you may be working with such people who don't have qualifications. But don't think you are superior to them, because when that happens, you have a huge ego. This country is full of ego people. That's why we are in this situation today. People who are not willing to listen. People who are not willing to learn from each other. So that's the third truth which I want to say. This word humility has 3 eyes. You know, it's all about me. And we always talk of we. So please remember by that. And to me, these are things, you know, I still fault on them. I can tell you. Good interpersonal relations, professionalism and commitment, and humility. To be humble yourself and to think of the other person better than you. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think I took 10 minutes more than my time. I hope I didn't put some of you to sleep. Just that I was trying to stick to this subject. So Chatura, thank you once again. It has been a great pleasure for me to speak to all of you.